PlayStation will eventually abandon console exclusives and follow Xbox's strategy, Moon Studios believes. And I think, well, but anyway.
Yeah.
So console exclusivity will eventually become a thing of the past for PlayStation as it has with Xbox due to how consoles and the market as a whole have changed, the Moon Studios CEO believes. In a lengthy post on X, the CEO talked about Xbox's current approach, saying that it's the right one for several reasons. A few years back, the studio decided to make No Rest for the Wicked. Now, that game had a lot of talking around it under Microsoft because it would have prevented the game from being released when PlayStation consoles and Nintendo Switch would have impacted the game considerably, as the studio felt the multiplayer and crossplay are an important part of the experience. All right. Elaborating further on limitations, the console exclusivity, the Moon Studios CEO gave a very interesting example. Over the years of communicating with Super Omega Shenron Phil Spencer, Thomas Meller always brought up how crazy it would be if certain DVDs would only play on players made by certain manufacturers. If this is crazy for movies, Melhar asked, then why is it different for games, considering how both PlayStation and Xbox consoles are powered by essentially the same hardware and have the same controller? At the same time, the console audience hasn't been growing, and for the entire industry to grow, access to content must be easier. This is achieved by reducing the cost of entry, which is what Microsoft is doing with its current strategy, and for these reasons, it concludes that they wouldn't be surprised if Sony didn't follow Microsoft's strategy and bring an end to the days of PlayStation exclusive releases. All right, I want to go back to this one part here. Why is it different with games, considering both PlayStation and Xbox consoles are powered by essentially the same hardware and have the same controller? Yep. Facts or cap?
Yeah. Well, facts. But on top of that, go back to the part where he's like the certain DVD players. You want to read that out for the chat one more time? Just a little section.
Absolutely.
Where it ends at crazy for movies.
He always brought up how crazy it would be if certain DVDs players would only play on players made by certain manufacturers.
What if I told you this already fucking happened years ago, actually? And it kind of still somewhat happens in a sense, right? The last format war for physical media was HD DVD versus Blu-ray, right? Before that, there was other versions. I mean, look at Laserdisc. That was a thing. There was Betamax versus VHS. Sony ended up failing because they were, in most of those senses, the only one they really succeeded in was actually Blu-ray, which is a Sony format. They succeeded because they succeeded when they just let go of control over it. There was too much control on it. Now, games, I think, is a bit different than physical media, but I think it's the rest of physical media, but it's going in that direction. We're getting away from exclusives, and that's a good fucking thing. But to act like it's a crazy thing that would happen, it happened for actually most of physical, like that type of media's history. It's only recently that we're not doing that type of thing. So I think that's a weird example to give, just because, like, you go back not even 20 years, go back like 5, 10? 6 years, 10 works. 10 years, we're in the same fucking boat as we are with gaming, right? So, but we're getting away from that, and it's good. I know a lot of people say, oh, well, we need exclusives. I don't like exclusives. I wish Nintendo would put all their shit on PC. I know there's certain things you can't put on PC just because they do a lot of stuff with like motion, that type of stuff, right? You can't really port a Wii game to the PC, right? It makes it very difficult. But for the most part, most games should be able to go on PC. And guess what? Most games should be able to go on those consoles too. I don't want shit to be PC exclusive either. I would love to see everybody on whatever platform they use be able to play the best games around. Whether they're made by Microsoft, Sony, third-party stuff, indie devs on PC, Nintendo, I don't care. And this whole, like, exclusives war is so stupid, especially considering that it's right. They all use AMD. They're all contracting out AMD to manufacture their consoles. Their consoles are effectively the same fucking specs. It's the same shit going into the console. The only difference is the design and the UI. That's it. Oh, and controllers. But even then, Xbox is releasing a PlayStation lookalike controller. So who fucking knows at this point?
Yeah, the only exception in that matter with the controllers is like you said before, the Wii, the motion controls and stuff like that's a different story. But with this, just let's just get off the exclusives. We're done with it. It was fun at its time, but we're at a point where the developers are not so dependent on the platform that they distribute on that they need to make their characters a mascot or an identity for that platform. They should be able to have their own platform, their own identity.
PC gaming has been outperforming console for years, and it's only getting stronger. At the same time, the console audience hasn't been growing, and for the entire industry to grow, access must be easier. There's your answer there. The only issue with this is the cost of entry is a lot higher than a console. Now, this doesn't mean that you stop making consoles. Fucking go for it. Keep making them. That's your way around the barrier of cost of entry. But everything should be available everywhere. I'm with John. This day of fucking exclusive mascots, it is fucking over. It's over. Yeah. We're in as gay as it is, we're in the Fortnite era where everyone's everywhere now. It's all about the crossovers and the collaborations, man.
When it's said and done, that game is going to have a massive negative and massive positive impact on gaming. One of the positives is crossplay. That game, I know there was other games where you could play before, but that Fortnite made it so fucking huge that at one time you could be on an iPhone playing with a dude who's on his Xbox, playing with a dude who's on his PC. Oh yeah, and you can invite someone who's playing PlayStation in there too, and the Switch. That was absolutely fucking massive. And Destin had that fucking interview he did with Phil Spencer, where Phil was basically like, I'm not gonna tell you what's coming to PlayStation, what's not. We'll see what makes sense, and we'll go from there. And I think that's the mentality he should be having right now. Eventually, it's going to be everything, but you can't just change a boat overnight. You can't turn the ship right around.
The funny thing about the Fortnite one is it was actually not crossplay at the beginning. They turned it on for one whole day to show everyone how easy it was, and it was actually Xbox at the time who didn't want to make everything crossplay, and then everyone bullied Microsoft, and then that's how we got crossplay, and that's why we started seeing crossplay in COD and a bunch of other games as well.
And now it's a standard of the industry too.
Standard, yeah.
To that point, if I see a game doesn't have crossplay and it's on multiple consoles, I'm like, you failed as a dev. You've actually failed as a dev at this point, because it's a universal thing.
We say all this, and then you go, but then there's Nintendo, which are just in their own fucking world.
I wish Nintendo would drop that exclusivity. I mean, that's the thing. I don't want them to just be exclusives. I want them to be on everything, and I want them to have the capabilities to put everything on there.
Now, I'm just going to say, apparently, there are ways to play Nintendo games on PC, and I have been told that they actually are a lot more fun to play on the PC with the controllers and stuff like that. Just what I've heard.